My name is Jake. I'm 32, the oldest kid, the designated driver, and the person my family slides the check to because you're good with money, which is mom speak for you'll pay and won't make it awkward. My life is a series of quiet responsibilities. I work in data, not fireworks. I rent an apartment above a diner. I keep my receipts in labeled envelopes like a museum of careful decisions. I am the family's sturdy, reliable foundation. And last Tuesday, that foundation cracked. It happened at a tasting for my parents' anniversary dinner, a dinner for which I had just paid a $9,300 deposit. My mother took a bite of scallop, sighed, and announced with a little sniff that they were too good for the place. Not missing a beat, my father added. Double the budget, and we'll think about showing up. I looked at them, the architects of my reliability, and said, absolutely. Then I went home and planned the demolition. The next morning, I canceled the reservation. My brother, Tyler, is 28 and somehow both a golden retriever and a storm cloud. He's hilarious at parties, uploads gym selfies with grind captions, and needs gas money on the 26th like it's a national holiday. My parents adore him in the loud way people love a flattering mirror. Growing up, I watched them celebrate him for trying and correct me for finishing. When I earned a scholarship, my mother said, don't get cocky. When Tyler dropped a class, my dad said, college is about exploring. When my dad backed into my car and dented the bumper, he said I should have parked more thoughtfully. When Tyler scraped his leased truck, we practically held a vigil and signed a card. It wasn't violence. It was paper cuts, thousands of them. I learned to say, it's fine. I learned to show up early, leave late, smooth edges, and make nice. The only time I didn't was the year I refused to spot Tyler, just until Monday. That's when my mother said, in the soft tone that lands like a needle later, we raised you to be generous. I heard the second sentence she didn't speak. We raised you to be useful. This spring, my parents decided to throw themselves a 36th anniversary party. We deserve something elegant, my mother texted. Classy but not pretentious, my father added. Translation, lavish, but on my card. Doing things right is my only party trick. So I told myself I'd handle it. I built a spreadsheet. I made columns for room fee, per person cost, service, tax, tip, and corkage, plus a contingency column labeled oh no. I started calling places. I found a gorgeous, quiet restaurant across town, warm wood, honest lighting, a chef who turns carrots into secrets. I pictured a long table, soft music, people actually hearing each other. The day of the tasting, I picked them up in my sensible car. Dad changed the radio without asking. Mom straightened my collar like it was picture day in 4th grade. Tyler slid into the back with sunglasses and a backward cap. You're the man, bro, he said, which is his way of saying he needs something. The manager welcomed us by name. We sat. The dishes arrived like small, quiet miracles. I watched my mother's face, waiting for delight, but got the head tilt instead. After a sigh, she pronounced that we were too good for my cheap restaurant. I tried to explain it wasn't cheap, but she dismissed it with a simple, it's fine, her code for beneath me, adding that they were celebrating a marriage, not punching a time clock. Without looking up, my father issued his ultimatum. If I doubled the budget, maybe they would come. Tyler just snorted his agreement and reached for more bread. I swallowed. The old instinct launched, the one where I start juggling flaming knives to keep everyone smiling. But for once, I didn't jump. I let the quiet sit there until my pulse slowed. You're absolutely right, I said. Finally, Mom replied, smiling the way you do when the dog finally sits. We finished the tasting. I didn't lecture about budgets or wait lists or chef calendars. I drove them home. Mom patted my cheek in the driveway like I'd passed a test. When my apartment door shut behind me, the quiet felt heavier than usual. I stacked the tasting notes and smoothed their corners, and pictured my mother's expression when she said too good. Then I pictured what would happen if I believed her and acted like it. I brushed my teeth, set my alarm, and slept like I had a decision waiting on the other side. This didn't begin with restaurants. It began with birthdays where Tyler's cake had sparklers and mine had a candle that wouldn't light. It began when my 8th grade science fair ribbon was cute, while Tyler's junior varsity benchwarming was commitment. It began when my first grocery store job meant I was responsible, while his first gym job was networking. Same results, different stories. By 21, I had covered 2 of Tyler's online classes because his financial aid got complicated. At 23, I paid for a tow because his card acted up. At 25, I co-signed a lease and swallowed late fees like vitamins. Every time came with a promise. Monday, bro. Next paycheck. I'll Venmo tonight. One time he sent a pizza emoji. I did not laugh. My mother calls it family loyalty. We share, which always means I distribute. My father calls it being a man. Handle your business, which somehow turns into handling everyone else's business. The math is obvious, only the language fogs it up. By 30, I had savings, not because I made a lot, but because I didn't go out. I brought lunch. I wore my sneakers until the tread was only a rumor. When I bought a used car outright, Mom said, "So practical," and then asked if I could spot Tyler for tires. I said no. She looked like I'd insulted generosity itself. When they announced the anniversary plan, it came wrapped in nostalgia and obligation. 36 years isn't nothing, Dad said. We want the family together, Mom added. The word one had a price tag. I volunteered to plan it because volunteering early is cheaper than being volunteered late. I set a realistic budget. I ran numbers like I was negotiating peace. I put down a deposit to hold a Saturday, $9,300 that made my stomach clench but still fit inside the spreadsheet. It hurt. It also felt adult. I made the rookie mistake of thinking a big, generous gesture could reset our family story about me. It never does. I know that, but still I try. After the tasting, Mom went loud in the family group chat. Everyone, dinner tasting was fine, but we want something more upscale. Then came a stream of photos of a ballroom with an ice sculpture shaped like a peacock. This is classy. Jake will find something like this. I typed and deleted 3 times. The ballroom started at $375 per person before drinks. They charged overtime if your party dared exist after 9:30. And the deposit I'd placed would be non-refundable if I canceled within 12 days. We were on day 11. I called my mother to remind her that I had already paid a non-refundable deposit on a reservation that fit the budget. She laughed as if the concepts of budgets and prior payments were indecent. She told me that budgets were meant to move and the point was to feel like you've arrived. My father clicked onto the speaker to command me to double it before they'd talk further, while Tyler whined about the suit he'd already been fitted for. When I asked the simple question of who was paying for this upgrade, there was a telling silence. Then my mother's voice turned cotton soft, feigning concern that I held money too tight, and that my financial prudence was unhealthy. After the call, the drip started. Aunt Linda, your mother says you're making this complicated. Cousin Emily, can I bring my boyfriend? He eats a lot. Haha. Grandma's caregiver, your mom asked me to ask you to book a pianist. She says you understand what's tasteful. The next afternoon, Mom called with a solution. Your father found a place. Waterfront. Very Nantucket. We don't live anywhere near Nantucket. You know what I mean. What's the price? Don't be negative. If it's more than triple, I can't. You can, she said, not unkindly. You just won't. Dad texted a thumbs up. Tyler sent a gif of a guy making it rain. Vibes, bro. That night, I stared at my spreadsheet and then at the blank wall above my desk. I thought about Christmas when I bought gifts for 9 people and got a travel mug because you love coffee. I thought about the storm a few years back when I fixed their roof and my dad said, "Took you long enough." The bait is always the same: love, pride, family. The hook is always the same: money, time, compliance. And when I hint at a boundary, my mother says, "Don't make this ugly." They make it ugly. I clean it up. If I believed her, if I believed we were too good for the place I booked, then the honest thing would be to make sure she never had to lower her standards again. So I set my alarm, put my phone on Do Not Disturb, and slept. In the morning, I made coffee and called the restaurant. "Hi, this is Jake. I booked the 36th anniversary for the 18th. I need to cancel." The manager was kind, which made me feel worse. "I understand. Your deposit is 70% refundable if we fill the date. We often do. I'll do my best." "Thank you," I said too many times. Then I wrote a message, plain, not a manifesto, and sent it to the family chat at 8:07. "Morning. I canceled the reservation. If you want a different venue, you'll need to book and pay for it yourselves. I'll attend if it fits my budget and my boundaries." The chat pinged a handful of times, then went still. At 8:20, my phone lit up, Mom calling. I let it ring. At 8:22, Dad. Then Tyler. Then Mom again. The chat bloomed. Mom, what did you do? Dad. This isn't how family acts. Tyler. Bro, I have a suit. Me. You're adults. You can book a party. Mom. You said you would handle it. Me. I handled it. I removed myself. There was the pause where they chose a script. Anger, guilt, pity. They picked guilt. Mom. I'm embarrassed. We told people. Me. Then tell them something else. Dad. You're making your mother cry. Me. I'm not making anything. I'm choosing not to pay for it. Dad. Money isn't everything. Me. Great. Then you can pay for it. Tyler. You're petty. Me. I'm specific. At 9:05, Mom texted me privately. I don't know who you think you are. I typed and erased 10 replies. Then I sent one. Someone who won't fund being insulted. No answer. At 9:30, Aunt Linda called. She's the only one who sometimes uses her inside voice. Honey, your mom's hysterical. She'll live. You know how she gets. I do. I think you should give her this one. She's had 30 years of this one. Silence. You sound different, she said. I am. At noon, Mom appeared in my office lobby. She had never done that. She called from the front desk using the voice she reserves for maitre d's. Come down, please. We sat in 2 lobby chairs. She wore her pearls. I know she wears them when she wants to look reasonable in public. Sitting in those 2 lobby chairs, she told me that setting a boundary by humiliating them was beneath me. I stated the simple fact that I had only canceled something I was paying for. She accused me of punishing them, but I told her it wasn't revenge, it was closure for a lifetime of her deciding what I owed. She escalated, calling me cold, as I had always been. I replied that I had only been consistent. Her final verdict was that they had raised a selfish son. I just nodded, telling her that he was finally okay with her thinking that. She stood and left with her pearls steady and her shoulders squared. I watched her cross the lobby and felt something inside me open, like someone knocked down a wall and light found the room. That night, I cooked pasta in my little kitchen and ate at my small table, listening to the building settle. The quiet didn't feel heavy anymore. It felt like something I chose. By morning, I had 22 missed calls, 12 voicemails, and 34 texts. Numbers looked dramatic stacked like that. I made coffee and opened the chat. The demands came in a flood. My father announced they had moved the party to the lakeside pavilion. My mother instructed me to kindly send them the deposit, and Tyler informed me they needed $15,000 by Thursday. I simply replied no. Their responses were immediate and predictable. This was spite, not a boundary. My mother played her final card, declaring that family is everything, but I corrected her that family is not a credit line. Dad called. I let it ring. His voicemail said, "You think you're better than us? Money rotted you." I saved it and moved on. Around lunch, the restaurant manager called. Good news. We filled your date. We'll refund 70% of your deposit. Expect $6,510 within about a week. Relief moved through me like a tide finally turning. Thank you. After work, I ran by the river. The sky threatened rain and changed its mind. When I got home, 2 new emails waited. The first, from the pavilion. Per your mother's instruction, the contract is attached. I replied, I am not the payer. Please remove my email. The second was from Tyler. Bro, they're freaking out. Just front it. I'll cover bar. What you're offering to cover, I wrote back, is the part you plan to consume. Low blow. True blow. Aunt Linda tried again. They won't budge, she said. Could you do half? Or the photographer? Just so it doesn't look like she couldn't pull it off. Like what? I asked. Like she can't pull it off, she said softly. Maybe she can't. Silence. And maybe that's okay, I added. Maybe the scale should match the wallet, not the fantasy. Your mother doesn't do scale. I know. The week of the party, Mom started a parallel campaign. Extended family, neighbors, the lady from church who collects casserole dishes like trophies. They all got a version where I abandoned my parents' days before a sacred milestone. Unsolicited screenshots arrived. Is this true? Why would you do that? I didn't reply. Not because I lacked words, but because every reply becomes a trial, and my family loves a courtroom where they're judge and jury. On Thursday, Tyler called from an unknown number. I picked up. Dude, he said, this is insane. They booked the pavilion, then Dad saw the final number and had a meltdown. He cut the open bar. Mom cried. The planner bounced. Can you just? No, I said. I'm in a bind. You live in a bind. You're enjoying this. I'm not. I'm just not fixing it. You've always thought you're better. I've always thought I'm responsible for myself. It's one night. It's a pattern. He swore, then went quiet. They're going to talk about this forever. They talk about everything forever. He hung up. Friday afternoon, Mom texted a photo of silk napkins. We cut costs where we could, she wrote. I didn't respond. Saturday evening, the night of their party, I put on a navy shirt and walked to the little bistro around the corner. Not the fancy place I'd booked. Another one. Perfect bread. The server calls everyone Han, without performance. I sat at the bar, watched part of a baseball game with two strangers who argued kindly about nothing, and ordered the special. It felt like a celebration of something I couldn't name. During dessert, my phone buzzed. Aunt Linda. I answered. Well, she said, tired. It's smaller. How small? They moved it to the church hall at the last minute. Potluck vibes. Your mom told everyone it was intimate by design. Your dad is quiet. I'm sorry, I said, and I meant it. You could still stop by. I sent a card. I wrote what I needed to say. You're really done with them, aren't you? No. I'm done with this version of us. She exhaled. I understand. And I believed her. Sunday arrived with a hangover of texts. Mom sent a photo of the two of them standing in front of a gold paper backdrop with creases. It was lovely, she wrote. We made it work without you. I'm glad, I replied. 10 minutes later, people missed you. They can book time, I wrote back. No reply. Over the next week, the storm lost words. I still got a few grenades. From Dad, hope you're proud of yourself. From Mom, we had to serve warehouse cake. From Tyler, I Venmo'd you $22 for paper plates, which was either sarcasm or a joke that forgot to be funny. I didn't engage. Instead, I let my life fill the space. I learned to make the good omelet. I watered a plant and didn't kill it. I said yes to trivia night and made 2 new friends who didn't ask me to audition for belonging. On a regular Tuesday, I took myself to the restaurant I'd first chosen, sat alone with a book, and told the server, thank you, without apologizing for being there. I tipped well because kindness should land somewhere. A month later, Mom texted, Sunday dinner. 5 o'clock. No question mark. I won't be there, I answered. We're trying, she wrote. Try by acknowledging what happened. You canceled our party. You called my gift cheap and demanded more after I paid. 3 dots. Then nothing. 2 weeks later, Dad called. His voice was rough. 2 weeks later, my dad called. His voice rough, saying he wanted to understand. He asked if I hated them, if I was punishing them. I explained that I didn't hate them and that I wasn't punishing them, but protecting myself. After a long silence, he admitted he didn't know how to handle this new dynamic. I suggested he could start by simply saying thank you sometimes, by admitting when they were wrong, and by offering to pay for their own wants. He cleared his throat. Your mother won't like that. I know. I'll think about it. That's a start. After we hung up, I stood by the window and watched the streetlights flicker on in a neat row. The diner downstairs closed. The cook waved at me because he always does, whether I wave first or not. That night, I slept the way I used to wish for, without rehearsing arguments, without spreadsheets pressed against my chest, without the itch of usefulness as the price of love. People assume the moral is dramatic. Cut them off, torch the bridge, disappear. It isn't. The bridge stays. It just has a toll now. And the toll is simple: respect. I didn't cancel their party to teach a lesson. I canceled it because I paid for contempt and then was asked to pay again. Money isn't love, but money draws the silhouette around love. For years, my ledger had everyone's name under expenses and mine under responsible party. That changed. Here's what moved and what didn't. My mother still thinks the world should bend to her taste. She texts centerpiece photos like it's a sport. But twice now, she's asked, is this in your budget? Before assuming I'll cover it. The second time she added, we can scale, like the words were a foreign language. Progress in inches. My father still prides himself on being unbothered, until he's very bothered. But last week, after a dental appointment, he called and said, thanks for driving me. Then, strangled, I appreciate you. I said, you're welcome. And we both pretended our throats weren't tight. Tyler is still a storm with a phone. Friday is still a promise he thinks counts as proof. But he hasn't asked me to co-sign anything since. He sends memes instead. Occasionally, they're funny. And me? I eat at places my mother would call fine and I call good. I invite friends, and we split checks, and no one performs gratitude like a weapon. I carry cash to tip the barista who knows my name and doesn't use it to own me. I keep a line in my budget labeled no, just to remind myself it's something you can afford. If you want the short version, here it is. I used to think peace meant keeping everyone else comfortable. Now I know peace is the room you make when you stop paying for your own eraser. I don't owe anyone an apology for refusing to fund my humiliation. I owe myself consistency. So when someone calls a gift cheap and asks me to double it, I say, "You're absolutely right." And then I let them find out what life costs when I don't subsidize it. This isn't revenge. It's closure. I said it once in a lobby while my mother looked at me like I'd broken something valuable. I'll keep saying it, even if only to myself. I won't stop showing up. I'll just arrive as a person, not a wallet with legs. I won't punish. I'll price. I won't chase. I'll choose. And I won't let anyone teach me again that love is measured by what I'm willing to lose. If that means fewer invitations with glitter and more Tuesday dinners at the bar where the bread is warm and the server says, "Han," I can live with that. Actually, I can live because of that. If you felt this story, tap subscribe and like. Your support helps us bring more real-life tales of boundaries, karma, and hard-won peace.